Hi, you guys, and welcome back. Today, I am getting into a review of a book that I have needed to read and review for you for a very long time. Now, this book was the book that I picked for my October book of the month. I know it is crazy that I haven't gotten to it yet, but in my defense, October was a very busy month, and then at the end of October, I went on vacation, which was absolutely fantastic. Then when I came back from vacation, I was a little bit sick. I got a cold, and that finally gave me the time to read this book and now review it for you. So, my October book of the month pick was Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. Now, if that name sounds familiar, she does have a popular series that came out before this book called Violent Delights. I have actually not read that series, but I have heard some really good things about it, so her name has already been on my radar, and then I picked this one solely because of the synopsis that I read about it. The synopsis basically says that this is a captivating book that follows a pair of ill-matched spies posing as a married couple while they try and investigate a series of brutal and mysterious murders that are happening in 1930s Shanghai. That sounds so good, doesn't it? This book is a mix of historical fiction and fantasy, and again is set in 1930s Shanghai. And it is also a fairly new release. This book just came out in September. In this book, we are following Rosalind Lang, codename Fortune, who was brought back from the brink of death through a strange experiment. Now, that strange experiment also gave her the ability to heal from any wound and also took away her ability to age. Pretty much, she can't die. Rosalind is trying to right the wrongs of her past and uses her abilities as an assassin to fight for her country. The Japanese army has begun its invasion, so Rosalind's orders change, and she is now tasked with trying to infiltrate a foreign society and trying to find the terror plot that's causing unrest in all of her city and causing mysterious murders to happen throughout the society that she lives in. To be successful in her mission, she must pose as the wife of another spy. But what's really interesting and fun about this is that they are infiltrating another place that they're not a part of. So they're having to hide their true identities from the people that they work with, while also trying to hide their identities from each other. Because prior to this mission, they didn't know each other and they don't really trust each other. I mean, they are spies. They are skeptical of everyone and everything. So they're trying to hide their identity from everyone around them, including people in their home, while also trying to locate a terror plot and figure out who's killing people all over the city. Now, that is as far as I'm going to go with the description of this book because I am not going to ruin the plot for you. So let's get into my thoughts. Okay, so first thing is first, let's discuss the things that we can see. So I really liked the look of this book. I really liked this light pink cover. I really liked the skull detail that's on the top of the book. I loved the font. I pretty much just loved everything about the look of this book. Actually, the first few pages are really pretty as well. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there's this really pretty pattern. I just really liked the way that this book looked. The second thing that we will notice is that this book is massive. Okay, I might be exaggerating, but it is a pretty big book. This book was over 500 pages, which is very long. I want to say the majority of the books that I read are somewhere between 300 to 400 pages. So this is an extra 500 pages plus. I want to say it was like 513 or something. So that is a pretty big book. I actually don't mind a big book as long as it makes sense and as long as it's entertaining. I don't like when a book is super long and you feel like it could have just ended way sooner. So I guess that's going to allow me to segue into things that I didn't like about this book. I actually felt like this book was just too long, but really for me, it was too much at the beginning. It just felt like the beginning of this book kept dragging on. I think we could have easily cut out 100 or 125 pages and we really wouldn't have missed much. My second complaint or dislike about the book would have to be how deep the writing got on certain aspects, like character development or story development or just background information, which is probably what led to the length of this book. So what I mean by that is that there were certain pieces of this story that we got so much detail on, but it wasn't in a good way, in my opinion. So we would get so much information on a political party or a character's background, and we would be layer upon layer upon layer deep in all of this information. But realistically, it just ended up being a little bit confusing. Now, for an example, there is a character that Rosalind deals with in this book, and they were originally introduced to us as part of a certain party. But then we find out that they are actually part of a different party and they're trying to infiltrate the one that we first found out about. But then we find out that they actually don't care about either of those two. Their true feelings lie somewhere else. I just found it super confusing to follow. I couldn't remember what this person actually cared about or what they were really doing. I could never remember where their true intentions were. It was just super confusing. Although it was confusing and although the beginning of the story was just a bit too long for me, the middle to the end of the book were actually really well written. I really enjoyed the characters by that point. I like where the plot was going and the pacing of the plot, but it really feels like you finally get to a good point in the story and then it ends. This book is going to have a sequel, but while I was reading it, I didn't realize that. And I was actually really bummed because, like I said, I felt like I was finally enjoying it and then it just ends. So I do feel a little bit better now knowing that a sequel is coming because you're left with so many questions, which is only good if they're going to be answered in a sequel. To continue discussing the things that I do like about this book, as just something fun that I noticed, I wanted to share with you guys the last paragraph in the acknowledgements section of her book. So I don't always read the acknowledgements section, and if I do, I usually just kind of skim it and see if there's anything super interesting or something that stands out to me. While I was flipping through hers, I noticed that she shared this little paragraph here, and I'll share a picture right here that was so fun and also lets us know that she is a Swiftie, which just makes me super happy, and I figured I would share that with you. Earlier, we discussed the cover of this book, and while I was looking up some things about this book, I came across something that I had to share with you. So I am going to post a picture and zoom in so you can see this, but on the cover of the book, on the skull, you'll see a symbol. And what I've come to find out is that Chloe Gong puts a symbol on her covers to kind of let you know about something that's going to happen in the plot or just something that relates to the plot. So on the cover of this book, we see the Mandarin symbol for fortune or luck. I just thought that that was such a fun touch, and I wanted to be sure that you knew about it when you were looking at this cover. Okay. So now I've told you about some things that I didn't like and some things that I did like about this book. Let's get into my final thoughts. I think that I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. I think the reason it scores so low for me is just because it did feel way too long for me. But keep in mind that I did enjoy the second half of this book, and I feel a lot better about the ending knowing that a sequel is coming. So if you're wondering if you should read this book, absolutely. I would recommend this book to someone who enjoys a historical fiction and to someone who enjoys long books. Even if you don't enjoy a long book, you can read it, just go into it knowing that it will get better in the second half of the book. Like I said, the ending left me with so many questions, and I will absolutely read the sequel of this book. I need to know what is happening after where we left off. The only thing that I have seen about the second book in this series is that the title is planned to be released in the fall of 2023. So maybe we will see this book at the end of 2023. I'm not really sure. I'm hopeful, but I guess we will find out. If you have read this book, please comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the length of the characters, of the ending. I would also love to know if you are going to read the sequel of this book. And also, if you haven't read this book, I would love to know if you are interested in reading this book or if you've read Chloe Gong's other books, because like I said, I've heard that that series is phenomenal, and I just love to interact with you guys about the books that I'm reading and about the books that you are reading. That's exactly why I'm doing this. I just enjoy reading and talking with people about books that we are reading. So if you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. I have a ton more reviews coming that I cannot wait to share with you, and I would hate for you to miss them. As always, thank you all so much for your support. I have my usual links down below where you can connect with me on Goodreads and TikTok, and I also have a link down below where you can sign up for Book of the Month Club if you are interested in getting that at a discounted price. I will see you all in the next video. Bye!